Now we're going to talk about the single sign-on integration. In your SSO settings, you will have the option to have none-enable. You can do NTLM, you can do SAML, which is the one that we're going to use for our example. For single sign-on, you can integrate your FileCloud server with Azure AD, with Centrify. You have Octa Integration, Centrify. You have several options. It's important that you follow the instructions that we have on our documentation. For reference, we're going to do an example using Octa, but for any other service provider, you can check in our wiki. In our example here, we have our IDP endpoint URL. You have your IDP username parameter, your email, given name, and IDP surname. All these mapping has to be created on your service provider. There you can configure, for example, in Octa, you can map the UID, the mail, the given name, and the surname to the specific parameters of your accounts on Octa. You can specify an optional IDP logout URL. You can limit the login to IDP group. For example, if you have too many users, let's say 100 users, for example, and you only want to give access to FileCloud to a subset of users, maybe 25, you can add them to a IDP group, and you can specify what is the IDP group in this parameter. So only those users that belong to it are going to be able to log in. In here, you can enter your IDP metadata, which is given by your identity provider once you finish configuring the FileCloud application. You can customize a error message for SSO. You can also allow account signups and what type of account. This means that if a user logs in with single sign-on and it doesn't have an account on users here on FileCloud, the first login is going to create an account for them in here. And if you want those accounts to be created as full accounts, you need to configure this as to be number 1. And if you want the accounts to be created as guest accounts, you have to select number 2. You have the option to enable ADFS. You can also expire your token based on the identity provider settings. You can also show the IDP login screen automatically when they go to the user screen. And you can increase or decrease the log level of the SSO in case you need to troubleshoot any connection problems. Once your settings have been saved, you want to make sure to go here on your left menu to customization, to the login page, and here make sure that you are showing the SSO link or you will have the login options enabled. Any of the two or the two are required for you to be able to log in with using single sign-on. The other option, of course, is that you can also configure your FileCloud user website to go directly to your IDP login once they enter the URL. That can be configured on a manual configuration file in your settings. Once this is configured, you can try here, and you can see here that now we have a login with SSO. Once we click on login with SSO, we're going to be redirected to the Octa signing. We're going to use our account. And we logged into our FileCloud website using our Octa login process. So make sure if you want to use SSO with any of the service providers mentioned before or any specific ones, you can configure them here and save your settings.